Over the last 24 hours, the San Francisco 49ers have managed to have another incredible day of news. So I've got a mountain of great news for you in this video. We are covering all sorts of stuff, everything from contracts, vibes, Kittle, Purdy, Cowing, Martin. We're diving into all of it. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content as always, but let's jump straight into the news. Start this one with a question, actually, okay? Somebody out there who is a die-hard college football fan, like I need somebody out there who watches college football nonstop, and tell me if Nick Martin is going to be jumping D. Winters in the depth chart, because Nick Martin is standing out, and I keep seeing him being like the Dre Greenlaw future replacement, and that's this year, not future years. That in itself is great news. Here's what Sports Illustrated's, who is it? Daniel Flick said about the San Francisco 49ers best rookie in 2025. Here's what he said. Linebacker, pick number 75 overall, Nick Martin. San Francisco lost starting linebacker Dre Greenlaw to the Denver Broncos, but added his replacement in Nick Martin, a third-round pick from Oklahoma State. Opportunity exists for Martin, who has terrific range and blitz skills, to be an ultra-productive rookie. The 49ers will heavily depend on their 2025 draft class to reinvent their defense, and Martin figures to be a key piece in the middle of it, literally and figuratively. So I'm curious, let me know in the comment section if you think Nick Martin is that guy. Is he so good that he's going to jump D. Winters in the depth chart and be that will linebacker, be that number 2 to Fred Warner? Let me know what you think in the comments on that one. I'll just leave it there for now, and we'll have to come back to it in a future video, but that is fascinating stuff as we start talking about training camp and stuff like that. Another thing that came out in the last 24 hours that is absolutely exciting. Contract details came out, and they're even better than for the 49ers specifically than we originally thought. Let's talk about what that is. After getting the full details on Brock Purdy's contract, says Kevin Kruger, it's incredibly hard to argue this isn't a team-friendly deal for the 49ers. $100 million guaranteed fully, $40 million signing bonus, but no guarantees remain beyond 2027. Key opt-outs before bigger payouts in 2028 and 2029. One of the smartest QB contracts in the league. I saw somebody else, by the way, who said the smartest quarterback contract in the league. Some other stuff, though. Fully guaranteed money coming from, this is from Akash here. Fully guaranteed money, quarterbacks, number 12. Brock Purdy comes in number 12 in fully guaranteed money, ahead of Tua, behind Jordan Love. The signing bonus among quarterbacks is number 9. Brock Purdy comes in number 9 at $40.1 million, ahead of Burrow and behind Tua Tagovailoa. Seems like a very, very fair deal for both sides. Fitting contract for what Purdy's accomplished so far in his career. If anything, actually, I would argue, and I don't think this is in disagreement, but I would argue that Brock Purdy actually, his agent is probably not super proud of this deal. Maybe that's why he released the news on Friday afternoon. But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm Brock Purdy, or if I'm Brock Purdy's agent, rather, okay, we'll talk about Brock Purdy in a minute here, but if I'm Brock Purdy's agent, I would be a little bit disappointed with what we went ahead and agreed to with the 49ers. I think this is absolutely a team-friendly deal. By the way, it's not just turning some heads, it's turning everyone's heads. You even have a guy like Grant Cohen taking back something that he said in the past, saying this: Brock Purdy has lower cap hits than Sam Darnold each of the next 3 seasons. I owe John Lynch and Parag Marate an apology. So if you got Grant Cohen going back on what he said, I mean, this is an incredible deal for the 49ers. I don't think I need to convince you of that any further. I think you get where I'm coming from. But something else that came out yesterday was Brock Purdy had a press conference around the deal, about the deal, talking about the deal. And there's something that came out through all of this that continues to confirm what we've been seeing in reports. And I want to remind you guys that last year, I will admit, I'm going to be wrong. I downplayed reports about the vibes being off. I couldn't believe that the vibes could be off when you have 8 or 9 guys who are in the top 100 players in the NFL And you've got guys who have done the trip to the mountaintop, gone to the Super Bowl, right? And didn't win, but they got there. And I just felt like there's no way the vibes are off. The people are making too much of a big deal of it. If the vibes are off, they'll figure it out. They'll find a way to get it together once they start winning games. And that's what I believed to happen. It did not happen. So when you hear report after report after report from guys all over the place, from Kittle, from Brock Purdy, from Fred Warner, talking about the vibes this offseason, how big of a deal it is different. Christian McCaffrey as well has said the same thing. So here's what Brock Purdy said yesterday. There's a new kind of re-energized feeling around the facility. Akash said this: the best part of Brock Purdy's presser was that he acknowledged there's a new re-energized feeling around the facility. He admitted that players were fatigued coming into 2024, should bode well for prospects this season. Think guys are going to come in ready to roll. So on that, okay, and I think I have a couple of other little quotes here that I'll throw out there, but I listened to the presser yesterday live as it was happening, and I felt the same way. I feel like we're hearing it over and over, not because they're trying to force it, but because it's really happening. We're seeing a change, a massive change from last year. The 49ers were absolutely exhausted the previous year, and it's a big factor. The other big factor is all of this drama-free offseason. All of these contracts getting done, and it's not even June yet. It is such a good feeling. Brock Purdy, on the importance of a drama-free season, said this: I think it's important we're around each other and a lot, and continuing to build chemistry. That's the kind of stuff that matters when you go late into the season and you go through some of some tough things as a team. So again, Brock Purdy talking about how important it is that we're all together, that we're going through this together. We're on this journey. He went out of his way to make sure he was around, even though the contracts were not over the line, not done yet. Brock Purdy on an OTA deadline of sorts for his contract said, at the end of the day, I didn't want to lose sight of the main goal here. I wanted to be here from the jump. This is a guy who probably took less than he should have, who probably took more of a team-friendly deal than his agent would have wanted. Actually, I could say that with pretty good confidence. I'm sure he took a deal that is not as good as his agent wanted for him. I'm sure of that. And not because I have solid evidence, but because it just defies logic that his agent wanted him to take this deal at this point that is so team-friendly, knowing that his asking price was so much higher, and the 49ers only moved a notch up. So all of that being said, that you have things like, guarantees, which doesn't completely blow everybody out of the water when you start talking about the actual fully guaranteed aspect of the deal. It is, top 10-ish. And then you talk about like the no trade clause, and you're like, yeah, okay, so maybe that's why he goes more 49ers way, because the 49ers are willing to do a no trade clause. But that's not even really, like, I was listening to I think it was a Ringer NFL podcast I was listening to, and they're talking about how that no trade clause isn't as big of a deal as you might think, because nobody wants to trade for a quarterback who doesn't want to play for their team. And so the quarterback position is one of those tricky positions for trading. So if the 49ers were trying to dump Brock Purdy off on somebody else, it wouldn't really matter. The trade clause thing wouldn't be a massive deal. And Brock Purdy himself said yesterday that it was a nice thing, but not a deal breaker for him, is kind of how he ended up phrasing it in the end. Now, the cool thing is Purdy's presser yesterday continues that confirmation of this different offseason and how things are different. But Brock Purdy gets some credit for that because of what he did in the contract negotiations, taking the deal that he did. But George Kittle also added to that. Yesterday at the Dwight Clark Legacy event, George Kittle said this about Brock Purdy, saying he's an increasingly vocal leader this offseason. His voice is heard significantly more in the building. So we're seeing Brock Purdy continue to develop those leadership skills. And all of these things that he's doing, it reminds me of like when Peyton Manning said, like, I know what I can do and what I can't do, and I'm just focusing really hard on the things that I can be good at, and talked about like not trying to escape the pocket, not trying to run the ball and stuff like that. And that is something that Brock Purdy I see doing right here, where he's recognizing there are aspects of his game he can't have the arm of a Josh Allen, but he can continue to develop his ability to do other things. Some of them are intangibles, right? Like leadership. So I love that Brock Purdy has always, in my opinion, has always been a good leader, but he has only increased as a leader. Something else that George Kittle said that isn't Brock Purdy related, but we'll just throw it out there as well. Kittle noted that wide receiver Jacob Cowing, who's on the screen here, who came in at the combine weighing 168 pounds last year, showed up with more heft this year. He pointed to Ricky Pearsall and Cowing as players with an opportunity to make a leap this season. The full recording of the event has not been made public yet, so as soon as that does, I'll be really looking forward to listening to that. I remember that last year. It came out way later, if I'm not mistaken. But they did, Matt Miyoko did put some of it out in a podcast, so hopefully we'll get a chance to listen to some of that. That will be a lot of fun. But there is something about this reality for Jacob Cowing, because this season, I think, is a make it or break it for Jacob. He has to make this team, and he has competition coming in. Like, I'm very excited about Jordan Watkins, the prospect that he is. He has to come in, and he has to absolutely be electric. He has an opportunity, and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But Sterling Bennett says this: hearing Jacob Cowing bulked up heading into the second year is a pleasant surprise. Outside of Juwan Jennings, and Pearsall, the 49ers need someone to step up, with Aiyuk and Robinson out at least the first 3 weeks. Potentially out the first 3 weeks. It'd be even better if Cowing could fill that gadget wide receiver role vacated by Deebo Samuel. I would absolutely love that. Jacob Cowing is significantly faster than Deebo Samuel. He has a lot to prove. I'm not trying to compare him to Deebo Samuel, but if he can come in on some of those roles and be successful, like jet sweeps or anything a little bit on the X Factor creative side, I think that would be really good to improving his chances of making this football team. We are 5 days away from phase 2 OTAs kicking in. Cannot wait to get the footage. Cannot wait to hear the interviews and break it all down on this channel for you. So make sure you hit subscribe so I'll get you the absolute best information that comes out every single day. Appreciate you guys.